Album art, cover art, whatever you want to call it, it's a pretty essential thing to get right when you're releasing your music online. So in this video, I'm going to give you my best tips for successfully uploading cover art for your tracks. Let's go. Hi, my name is Pete and welcome to Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record and release your best music. And it's releasing that we're talking about here today, because if you are releasing an EP, an album, or even just a single to any of the platforms via DistroKid or Amuse or another distributor, you will need to upload some cover art. And there's some pretty particular things that you need to keep in mind to make sure that your release is successful. So let's jump into those now. Now, there are a heap of ways to actually generate your album art. You can use a graphics program like Photoshop or even the Paint program on Windows or whatever you've got. But what I like to use is Canva. This is canva.com and it's a free platform. There is also a paid version, but the free platform lets you do all the things I'm going to show you in this video. And I thought rather than just talk about these, I'll show you and demonstrate as we go. So if you want to follow along with me, the first thing you need to do is go to canva.com, sign up for a free account, and then come into this section here. Now, you'd think here that what you would do is you do, like, let's just find a CD cover and click on this one. But here's the problem. You can see there that a CD cover here on Canva is 1400 by 1400 pixels. Now, maybe I need to talk to Canva and say they need to update this, but the minimum for most of your streaming platforms and most of your distributors is 3000 by 3000. And if you try to upload something smaller, often you'll get an error, it'll get rejected, you'll have to re-upload it. So what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of using a template like that, we're going to click on custom dimensions here. And now we can actually put in 3000 by 3000 pixels, and we can click on create design. Now you can do it up to 6000 by 6000. 3000 by 3000 is reasonable, and it means that you can actually use some of the templates that we have, and some of the images you use won't be scaled down. We'll talk about that more in a moment as well. But for now, let's get rid of me so that you've got a clear view of our canvas here. So here is our album artwork. Now, because we haven't chosen a CD cover, it's given us different templates here, but we can actually search in here. And if we search something like CD cover in here and hit enter, it's going to give us a bunch of different options that we have here for different CD covers. And these ones are pretty much going to be guaranteed to be okay, because they're the free versions here. So if we look at any of these, so let's go minimalist CD cover, we click on that, it pops it up here, and we can go away. We can start editing all of these and we can put the information we need in there. But let's just delete that one for now. We'll come in here, we'll delete everything from there and start from scratch, because what's the absolute safest way to go? Let's just say that you wanted to ensure that it was going to be successful. Let's click on background here. Now you can either click a background like this, like I'm in landscapes here at the moment. If I wanted to just make it a plain background though, I could click on the palette there and we could just choose a color here and go, yep, I want it to be this orange color background. And then I can click on text over here and then add a heading. And here we go, we'll expand this one out here. So we'll grab the size, we'll go say 250. There you go. We'll stretch it out here. If you want me to do a more in-depth Canva video, then let me know, but we're going to go through pretty quick here. So here will be the heading, and we'll just call this, so my new song that I'm working on at the moment is called Fence Sitter. And then we can add a subheading, and again, we'll make this maybe 150, and we'll put my name in here, Pete Johns, and move that around here, and there you go. So if you want an absolute minimalist cover, you could go for something like that, and that's definitely going to work. So all we've done is added a background color and added text, which is just the name of the song and my name. Notice that there's no hashtags, there's no @ symbols, there's no email addresses, there's no promotion. That's something to keep in mind. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's say I wanted something a little bit more visually stimulating. Well, we can click over here on the background, and let's instead throw in one of these. So I think this one might work well for this. So we'll click on that. And there you go. You can suddenly see what we can start doing here. We can start actually making this look a bit nicer. We can then update the font here. So we'll choose a different font that we might want to put in here. Now that's one of the paid ones you can see with that, but let's just choose a free one here. So we go this one, the ABZ, and yeah, you can start playing around with this one. You can bold it, and there you go. So that is a very simple way to do that. And because you're using the free ones here in Canva, it's going to be okay for you. Now you can then go into the photos section here and search for specific photos. So say this is fence sitter and we wanted to search fence here to get a picture. This one could be pretty cool. These are free, but you notice they've got the little crown there. So these are only free for me because I'm a pro subscriber to Canva, but this one is totally free. So we're going to click on that one and we're going to bring this again. We can drag this. Now you do have to be careful with this because if the image becomes too pixelated, then it's not going to be accepted by the site. So don't zoom it in so much that it ends up getting like blurry like that. If it's a large image like this, it's going to be okay if it's stretched a little bit, but don't stretch it too much. So if we bring this out like this, and let's just say that's what we wanted it to be, and then we wanted to put fence sitter up the top like that, and then Pete Johns underneath, then yeah, that's I don't know, it's a unique album cover, right? I don't know that I'd go with that, but definitely unique, definitely interesting. So that's a couple of options that you have there. Now, what if you want to bring in something from outside of Canva? Well, you can upload your own photos. So if I click on uploads here, well, there's all my thumbnails because this is what I use to create my thumbnails, but you can upload your own image file. Again, make sure that it is a very large image file that is going to match this resolution. Again, if it's a 1000 by 1000 image file, you're stretching it out to 3000 by 3000, it is not going to look good. It's not going to work well. The other thing that you might be thinking, and what a lot of people do, is they jump over to Google and they'll find an image to bring in. Let's do that now, and I'll give you some of the warnings and some of the things you need to keep in mind doing that. All right, so we're here in Google and I've searched for fence here in the Google images search, and here are a bunch of fences, but take a look. When I hover over these, some of these are very small indeed, 480 by 343 pixels. That is not going to be big enough for us to actually use. So there's a few things we can do. We can click on tools up here in the top right, and over here on the left, if we click size, we can actually change this to large. And this means that we're only going to get things over 1000 pixels. So still not going to be super large photos there, but look, there's one that's actually going to be okay if we wanted to use that. However, the other thing that you want to check here is the usage rights. So if we click on usage rights, you can see here that we've got labeled for reuse and labeled for non-commercial reuse. Now, because we are going to be using these commercially, we need to either use reuse or reuse with modification. This top one is the safest one because it means that if we modify the file, it's actually going to still be okay. So go large, go labeled for reuse with modification, and now we can have a look at some of these photos. So let's find one. Now, the other thing to check here is a lot of these will link, now that you've done that, they'll link to these download sites where you do have to actually log in to actually download the photos. So that can be an additional pain in the butt if you wanted to use that. But here's one that's on Wikimedia, so we know that's going to be easy. This bamboo fence, we'll click on that one. It's 3072 by 2304. There it is there. It's good to go. We can now right click on that one. We can save image as. And then there it is. We can hit the save button and that will actually save that image. You can see down the bottom here. All we need to then do is go back to Canva like this. We can drag that image up here into our images. It's going to upload it. There it goes. And as soon as that's uploaded, it's going to take a little minute because it's going to be a large file. As soon as this bar is across to the very right-hand side, we can add this into our image here. So now if we click on that one, there you go. We can now resize this and create our new album artwork using this image. And yes, it's not the best fence now because it's a little bit different, but yeah, we can change this and you might go, well, now the color's all wrong. You can go ahead and adjust that. So we can put the brightness down here to make it stand out a little bit more. We can change the colors entirely. We can do a bunch of things here. But before you go away and grab the first Google image you see, keep those things in mind. You need to make sure that the size is going to be big enough, and you need to make sure that the usage rights is not a copyrighted image that you're not going to be able to use in your project. All right, so I've made a few improvements to the album cover here. Can we see some problems? Well, yeah, you have to avoid using any sort of branding, any sort of hashtags or @ symbols or websites because your album cover is not a place for you to promote and to gain Instagram followers or to get people to subscribe to your YouTube channel. As fun as that would be, it is not allowed. So if you uploaded this album cover to Amuse or DistroKid or any of the distribution services, it would get flagged and you would have to resubmit. And that is going to be a pain in the butt because it's going to take you an extra long time to actually get your album cover approved. The other thing that you need to be careful of, so let's say we used this one here, and we'll just put this into our image, we'll drag it over. Now, you can see here that this has already got some blurriness built in. Now, this is going to be okay on some platforms. Some you need to declare that it's strategically, artistically blurry, and other ones will just reject it entirely. So before you have a blurry image on your album cover, consider that as well. If we get rid of that one and go back to something a little bit nicer like that we can actually use, you're going to be totally fine. But the other thing to consider is if you deliberately blur it, so if we go to the adjustment here and let's say we wanted to make this text stand out, so we blurred the images behind it, well, that's going to have the same problem, that if you did that, yeah, it's going to make your text look a lot better, but it's also going to look blurry. So you need to be careful with that. So it's not only the blurriness caused by you using something that is going to be pixelated because you're stretching it out. If you use blurriness as an effect, then you need to be careful with that. The other thing is logos and brands. And yes, this can be something as simple as you having a big Nike logo on your t-shirt in your album cover. Best to be avoided because if you don't own the brand name, remember, this is a commercial release that you're actually going to earn royalties from if you hopefully get folks streaming or buying your album. So brands are not going to be happy if they don't agree with your particular music or some of the lyrics of your music and you're wearing their brand. So keep that in mind. Keep it simple and generic and don't use logos, brand names, or any of your social media links and you'll be good to go. So once you're happy with your final artwork and the text is clear, the image is nice and big, you know you don't have blurriness, you know you don't have any of those problems, then you can download it. Now here in Canva, all we need to do is click on the download button up the top here. Now it's going to suggest PNG, and that's fine for a lot of your platforms. Some like DistroKid actually need a JPEG. Now there's a heap of different options for actually changing these, so I'm just going to download this as a large JPEG. If you can only download it as PNG or you need to convert it, there are image converters all over the place. But there you go, my design has been published, it's ready to go, it's downloaded there. I can now use that file to actually release my song. And if you want to check out a video where I do exactly that and show you how we then upload that and release through DistroKid and Amuse, there are links down in the description and up the top there that will take you to those videos. But now it's time for me to pop back on screen because I need to give you these tips in a nice, digestible format so that you can be really clear before you go away and make your own album art. So let's recap these tips. Size, we want it to be at least 3000 by 3000. Don't use those default templates that are going to be 1000 by 1000 or 1400 by 1400. They will be rejected by some of the different distribution companies as well as some of the actual streaming platforms and stores. So keep your size at least 3000 by 3000. File format, export it as a JPEG where possible. A JPEG, a JPG image, is going to be the most universally accepted by all of the different platforms that you may be uploading your music to. When selecting images, make sure that they are high resolution. Make sure that they're not going to be blurry or pixelated when you stretch them out, unless it is by design. And then make sure in places like Amuse, it will actually ask you, it will say, is it blurry? And did you mean it to be blurry? Make sure you declare it. And make sure that you own the rights to be able to use the image. If you're searching on Google, use the tips that I showed you before, where you can actually search the file size and then the usage rights to make sure that you can actually use it for a commercial release. And your text, make sure that you're including just the information you need. So your name, the artist name, and the name of the track or EP or album is really all that should be on there. And beware of any other things like hashtags, @ symbols, web addresses, promotional links, and especially logos of other companies. Even if they are just on your t-shirt or something like that, try to remove any of those or choose a different picture that is not going to have any brands or logos logos because you don't own the copyright to those logos. And the last thing you want is for Nike coming knocking on your door because they don't like your album art. And my final tip is this: if you're in doubt, grab some of the album covers that you like, whether they're physical ones or whether they're online, and take a look at what they look like and what has been included on them. And then try to emulate that as much as possible. If you want a professional release, you want it to look the part and you want it to stack up against other professional releases. So keep that in mind when releasing your music. Now, if you want even more information, there are 2 articles linked down below. One is by Amuse, and that is Amuse's album artwork guideline. Amuse are a free distribution service that provide a very great service if you want to release your music for free. And the other is from DistroKid, who are another online distributor, and they are who I release most of my music through because they have really great service, and for less than $20 a year, you can release an unlimited number of songs. And in fact, there's an affiliate link down in the description there too for 7% off your first year with DistroKid as well. So check out those articles. There's 2 more videos about releasing music that are linked down below right now as well. You can subscribe to the channel by clicking or tapping on the Studio Live Today icon, and I'll see you on the next one.